Hi, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome Omar Dawood for a brief discussion today on mental wellness and why we should make it a life priority. First, for a quick introduction, Omar Dawood is a clinician and actually a stage 4 cancer survivor. Congratulations.
Thank you.
With over 25 years of senior management, medical research, and clinical experience, he's been an innovator in medical devices and digital health products, being a senior executive in the healthcare industry for a long time. He's currently the Chief Medical Officer and Head of Sales for Calm, which is a mental wellness app and a service. Omar is passionate about helping people through the globe lead healthier, happier lives, building resilience through better sleep and improved mindfulness. And over the past 2 decades, he has been a senior leader in many different roles, primarily as an advisor, but also as a hands-on executive in the healthcare industry with many different companies. So without further ado, Omar, how's your day going today?
Great. Thank you for having me. It's going great. How was yours?
My day is good. I think it is different being home and making sure that I'm allocating my time to different things that are important in life. But I'm trying to do my best. Thank you for asking.
Good. Good. That's some of the biggest challenges we all have right now is
Yeah.
ensuring that we still have some level or semblance of normalcy, even though our lives right now are far from normal. But having some type of boundaries and routines and a certain end to part of our day and a maintenance of personal life is extremely important.
Thank you. So, as a clinician and a cancer survivor, I'm sure you've experienced stress firsthand. Can you share a little bit about how you manage to keep your stress under control?
Yeah, great question. I can say that my coping mechanisms have definitely evolved over time. Like everyone else, I've encountered many periods of stress and anxiety. It's something that kind of I always say I can't predict the future, but I can predict and be pretty sure that around the corner we are all going to experience stress and anxiety at some level from our personal or professional lives. It
Mhm.
may not be pandemic level, but we'll experience it. And when I think about certain periods of my life that have been more stressful than others, there are a number of common ingredients that have presented themselves and therefore that have evolved my coping mechanisms to deal with them. One is that the situation typically is quite uncertain. That leads to some level of, or high levels of stress, oftentimes, and anxiety. Two is that it feels uncontrolled.
Mhm.
I don't have any ability to really control what's going on. And three is that I'm unsure of the outcome. And
Mhm.
when you combine those ingredients currently in a very high level, but in everyday life in a somewhat moderate level, you can have increased blood pressure and a high heart rate and all these things that come together. Early on in my career in my life, I'm 47 now, so it's been I've had many times and shots at getting it right and getting it wrong. Of course, is sometimes it would manifest in different ways. Sometimes in conflict,
Mhm.
sometimes in being frustrated. Right, when you're stressed and anxious, it comes out a lot of different ways, and that's sometimes how you channel it.
Mhm.
What I've definitely learned to appreciate over the last decade and a half is the value of strengthening your mind,
Mhm.
building resilience and mental fitness, and creating a capacity to be able to actually take a step back, be
Mhm.
able to actually think about a situation, unpack a situation.
Mhm.
So if it is unknown or familiar, unpack it and say to yourself, what is familiar here, right? What can I latch on that's going to give me a semblance of normal?
Mhm.
Or what can I structure to give me a semblance of normal, as we just talked about, for example, an end and beginning to my day, understanding a weekend is a weekend and things along those lines.
Right.
If I feel out of control, what can I control in the situation?
Mhm.
And if I'm unsure of the outcome of the whole situation, there should be parts that I can be sure of. So
Mhm.
right now I can be sure that I get up every day. I can be
Mhm.
sure that I can eat well, that I can actually maintain relationships with friends and family, even though they're virtual. And
Mhm.
that actually helps you and help me personally really kind of come down to a level where I can manage my stress and anxiety and
Mhm.
frankly also stay ahead of it. That's where resilience for me has been incredibly helpful. And at the center of that is sleeping better and developing mindfulness. That really is my foundation personally for resilience.
That's great. And you talked a couple of times about mental fitness. I love that phrase. I use that a lot. So talk a little bit more about, can a mental wellness, right? Because it's not mental illness, it's mental wellness. Is that connected to our physical wellness and physical well-being? Is there a connection between the two?
I think there clearly is always a connection between the mind and body. I know we talk about them in isolation, but reality is one doesn't progress without the other.
Mm-hmm.
And they really have to stay lockstep.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it's kind of funny, we don't think of our minds the same way. I use an analogy that I think paints a good picture of this. If we were to ask everyone listening, go run a marathon tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Number one is, I think it would be quite irresponsible for us to ask that.
Yeah.
But why? Well, if we did ask that question, go out and run 26.2 miles, the number of people may try it and actually succeed and be fine. Most people will try to not be successful, or if they do finish, they will be in a lot of pain because their body isn't ready to handle that stress.
Mm-hmm.
And some people won't even attempt it. Now, why shouldn't we ask that question? Because you logically would actually have someone train
Mm-hmm.
for 12, 18 weeks
Right.
for the marathon because your muscles have to use the stress of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the mind is like a muscle as well.
Mm-hmm.
This concept of mental fitness and therefore training your mind is the same thing. Yet we say to the human brain and to all of us, we say, you know what, tomorrow experience marathon levels of stress and anxiety from personal professional lives, and you're supposed to be ready to deal with it, and we're just not. So that's where, for me, it's not a one-time band-aid.
Mm-hmm.
It's not give me this right now when I'm feeling stressed and anxious. It's every day making it part of your daily routine, that
Mm-hmm.
you're actually getting yourself in the mindset, building resilience, setting the foundation that you've slept well so you can approach your days with good decision making, that you're preparing yourself and building that level of fitness in your mind, just like you would in your body, to be
Mm-hmm.
able to deal with stress and anxiety.
Mhm. That's great. I love what you said about daily routine, and that's hard to do, isn't it? And so we're all super busy. We all have work and families, and now dealing with the pandemic. How would we make the time for mental wellness? Because I think it's hard enough to do all the things we're supposed to do.
So,
Any tips around that, and how much time do we have to dedicate?
yeah, to me, it's akin to dieting. It's akin to working out. What works for me is going to be maybe a little bit different than what works for you, right? And so there isn't a one size fits all. There's nothing wrong with leaning on something to help you. And
Mm-hmm.
so, for example, part of the reason I gravitated to Calm and to working at Calm, where we're helping, tens and now hundreds of millions of people around the world, is it is an experience that people can easily download and use and immerse themselves in, that essentially is that crutch.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you develop resilience. It helps you every day by dripping in small bits of content, sometimes only 10 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
But the key is doing a little bit every day. Again, back to the marathon analogy, you don't have to run a marathon every day to train for a marathon. You
Right.
have to run a little bit incrementally. And that's where there are a number of good tools. Calm is one of them. And where you can actually learn how to build resilience,
Mm-hmm.
and you can do that at your pace. You can do that throughout the day when you want to, but we all can find 10 minutes, for example, in our day. I'm a big fan of automotive racing, and when you think about automotive racing, what comes to mind is speed.
Mm-hmm.
Go fast. Most interesting thing about a race car, and I use this as an analogy because we are the race car, is we're all so concerned with going fast.
Mm-hmm.
But the one of the most important parts on a race car, are the brakes.
Mm-hmm.
To go fast, you have to be able to slow down and go slow.
That's true.
To enter a corner, you have to be prepared, and then you have to be able to accelerate out. That's very much like us.
Mm.
But it's hard to have that discipline. And by leaning on, a digital experience or a non-digital experience that can help you do that, you can learn how to pause in your day, even for just a few minutes. Go slower so that the rest of your day will be more productive, and you'll actually go faster in life.
Hmm. That's brilliant. I mean, I've started to do that, by the way. I've now started to build into my routine and my calendar what I call these micro breaks, like 10-minute breaks. And either I just step outside. For me, it's reading. Reading helps me relax. And it's sort of like another way to apply your mind into a different, you take it into a different space. So do you read? Does that help you relax?
I do. I read and I kind of, from an efficiency point of view, sometimes I'll listen to audiobooks as I'm running because again, I'm a huge fan of kind of giving time to my mind and body.
Hmm.
And it allows me to spend time with my puppy, go for a run, be able to enjoy the outdoors, take in some fresh air. At the same time, listen to some very inspirational, wonderful words.
Hmm.
So, for example, I've listened to Sheryl Sandberg's Leaning In, which I think is fantastic recently. I love science fiction, so I was listening again to Isaac Asimov and Fantastic Voyage, which I personally kind of get lost in that, the mystics of other worlds that we can dream about. But yeah, I mean, every one of us has our own escape,
Right.
and it's important to explore it and then to be able to make time for it.
That's right. Well, thank you for that. By the way, science fiction is my favorite genre.
Right.
I'm just reading N.K. Jemison's The City We Became. She's now
Oh,
become my
yes.
most favorite author. If you haven't read her stuff or listened to her books, you should. But yeah, that's great, great tip. So I think just to summarize, I heard you say, let's build this into our routine. It's sometimes better to slow down for a few minutes so that we can go faster. Mental wellness is definitely related to physical wellness. It's don't try to run a marathon in a single day. You have to train your body in order to be able to do a marathon. Similarly, we have to look at mental wellness and mental fitness as something that we need to give at least a little bit of time and make that time every single day so it becomes a daily habit for us. Before we end, any last minute tips for our audience? Anything else you would like to share?
Yeah, I just that, this is one of the most challenging times that we're all having. And as much as you can, remember that everyone around you is experiencing it as well. And
Hmm.
one of the most powerful things we can do right now is turn to the person next to us, even if they're virtually next to us, and ask them how they're doing in their day.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll find that as well is a way to be able to not only extend support,
Mm-hmm.
but for yourself, it humanizes what we're all going through now,
Mm-hmm.
and is part of the process of being able to help ourselves get through these tough periods, but also help those around us as well.
Great, great advice. Thank you so much, Omar. Hope to see you back here and be with us on Fable, reading or listening to your favorite books. I love calm, so thank you for all the work that you're doing there. And to all of our viewers, hope your day is going well and hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. Take care.